Alright, welcome everybody to another mixing video. Today we're going to be looking at a cool trick, and that's the Abbey reverb technique. So, a lot of people use this technique, and this is something that I use on all my reverb return tracks. So, it's really easy, so let's go ahead and get started. So, I have a female vocal here, and I'm going to start by creating a stereo reverb track. I'll name it vocal plate, because I love plate reverb on vocals. And I'm going to use a reverb that I know Abbey Road's actually used. Now this isn't modeled on their particular unit, but this is the reverb that they had there, an EMT 140 plate. So I'm going to dial it in real quick, and then I'll show you the actual technique after that. Okay, so as you can tell, this is already on its own a beautiful, beautiful reverb. But, of course, it's already too much, right? So we're going to go to our vocal reverb return. Okay, so this is the actual reverb channel itself now. And what the Abbey Road's technique is, essentially, is just rolling off some of the low end and rolling off some of the top end. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll off the low end, and I'll bypass that so you can hear what that's doing, and then I'll roll off some of the top end and I'll bypass that in and out so you can hear what that's doing, and then I'll do the whole thing. I'll bypass the entire EQ. So let's check that out. Okay, so to me, without the EQ, it's just too washy, and it makes the vocal itself sit back. But with the reverb, or with the EQ on the reverb, it makes the reverb sit back where the vocal channel itself stays where it was before, a little more up front. So this really adds some 3D depth. And another thing that I do sometimes with this, to create some width along with that depth, is I'll actually, instead of using a stereo reverb, I'll create two mono ones and I'll pan them left and right. And what I'll do is I'll use two different reverb depths, one really deep and wide, and then one really shallow, and then one with a slow rate and one with a fast rate. And that really sort of adds some extra depth and width to the reverb channel. And what I'll also do is I'll boost something in the mid-range on one, so maybe around 2K on the left side. I'll boost that, and then on the right side I'll cut that same frequency. So that also adds some variety which to our ears creates some extra width. So I'm not going to demonstrate that because I actually have a video on that called dual mono reverbs. But what I will show you is another trick that I'll use on this sometimes. And this is particularly, the reason that I use this is because sometimes reverbs, plate reverbs, are driven by tubes. And there are actually some EMT 140 plate reverbs that are driven by tubes. And this just kind of gives it a little extra warmth and some grit, and it hits the reverb a little harder just to make the reverb react a little more. So obviously I haven't dialed in the volume of the reverb return, so it's already in a way too much, but what we'll do is we'll exaggerate the sound, and then we'll dial down the fader here, and then we'll bypass some of the EQ and this tube saturation, and we'll check out what these two things are doing to the sound.
'Cause I'm hollow, hollow. This won't take too long, you'll see. I confess my weakness, I'm not giving all of me. Till you pick up the parts that are broken, pour out your perfection. Which shot out of me like a rifle. Or was it revival? Revival. Yeah, Hold me, wrap me in my, fill up my cup. Empty, only your love can fill up my cup. Whoa. 'Cause I'm hollow, I'm hollow, I'm hollow, I'm hollow.
So, a really simple thing can go a long way. To me, the reverb is just so much, adding so much depth and color to this now, as where before I might have even said, wow, that reverb doesn't sound good. And this is a great emulation of a classic reverb. I mean, this reverb was the only reverb that was used on Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, and that's incredible. And it's a very amazing sound, but by itself, it didn't really fit to me. So just roll off some of that low end, roll off some of that top end, try the dual mono trick, try adding some tube saturation. Just experiment with these things and find what makes it sound good. Because to me, this tube saturation gave it some nice warmth and some grittiness. So, I know this was a quick video, but it's very easy to demonstrate, and this is one of those things that it'll be very easy for you to try it in your own mix. If it doesn't work, well, you're not really losing out on anything. To me, there's nothing to gain, or there's nothing to lose, I should say, and only things to gain from this. Because if it doesn't work, just throw it out. But if it does work, then hey, you have a new trick in your pocket that you can use if you think that your reverb is a little too over the top. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new. If you did learn something or you did enjoy this, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, you can give it a thumbs down. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, as I always say. If you really enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you so very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.